Hey, Maxers, thanks for tuning in tonight. We have a brand new series coming at you. It's called Talk Around the Park. Um, what we're going to do each episode is we're going to take a specific park, and then we're going to talk to local experts from that park, and we're going to get all kind of insider information, and we're going to learn a bunch of stuff. What we did tonight is we picked my home park, which is Six Flags Great America. That's in Gurnee, Illinois. That's right outside Chicago. If you guys haven't been to the park, it's fantastic. We're going to get into it. But to help me talk about this, we have some local experts, and we have with us tonight Bob from the Six Flags Great America Junkie group on Facebook. Bob, welcome to the show tonight.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is going to be really fun, guys. Bob, he knows a lot of the history of this park. He's been around this park for a long time. Bob, why don't you tell everyone your background with Six Flags Great America?
Well, I was born in 1975. Park opened in 1976. Granted, I don't remember a single darn thing being 1 year old, but I was told I was there. Been going every year since, multiple times.
Wow. So you've grown up with the Yeah. So
yes,
you've
I
grown
grew up with
with
the
this
park.
park.
Yep. Seen it from the Marriott's days
awesome.
through Six Flags.
That's awesome. So tonight we're in for a treat, guys, and we're going to be talking to Bob. Now, what we did, just so you know, is Bob runs a Facebook group. Currently, it's just over 1,700 members. So, if you guys want to know more about this park, definitely check out his Facebook group. These guys are some of the most diehard fans I've ever met. There's a few parks out there that really have like elite fan clubs. And you think of Six Flags Magic Mountain, you think of Cedar Point, you think of Kings Island, and they have some diehard fans. Well, Six Flags Great America is just one of those parks that have such a hardcore following. And so we're going to dive into this. What we did was we asked Bob's group and the Maxx group on Facebook to submit questions and vote on what questions they wanted us to answer tonight. And so what we did was we took the top 5 questions from each group, and we're going to talk about it. And so these are questions that were submitted by you guys, and I'm really excited to jump into this. So the first question, or set of 5 questions, comes from the Great America Junkie group. So the first question that they asked is, what is our favorite non-ride activity in the park? And Bob, I'm going to let you answer this first.
Okay, well, there's a few things. Obviously, the shows. We have some great shows, especially around Fright Fest time. There's some really good shows that the park puts on for Fright Fest. So definitely, you definitely want to check out the shows. The shows are top notch. Another favorite thing of mine is just people watching. I just find it to kind of park on a bench every so often and just watch life pass by, and the people who are in the park, it's to say the least.
So what would you say? This is a 2-part question that I have to follow up on this.
Okay.
What is your favorite show in the park? And I want to know what your favorite current show is from last season, but also just throughout the years. What show do you wish that you could watch again?
Current show, I am Love at First Fright. It's just been a staple at Fright Fest ever since it started. So it's one of those shows. I'm at the park for Fright Fest. The cool thing is they kind of update the show every year with some current events, catalogs, music. In terms of what show would I bring back? If I'd say kind of along the lines of Love at First Fright, would be one of my favorite ones Park did was called Pop Fusion.
Okay.
Focused in on the music, kind of the early 2000s. Okay, so you want to kind of think Christina Aguilera, Room 5 type stuff. If you want to throw way back, there used to be a dolphin show in the park.
Wow.
In the
I didn't know that. Really?
Yeah. Actually, by Loggers Run, there is a back in there. It's currently used for dance competitions. But yeah, that used to be a dolphin show. Once the dolphin show left, they brought in the show, which was the U.S. High Dive team. And then after that, it just kind of is used strictly for dances. For dance competitions. I think at one Fright Fest show that was put on in that amphitheater, but I think it was just one season. Now,
Wow.
I'm sure some of my colleagues correct me on that and say, oh no, it was 2 seasons, 3 seasons, but it was short-lived in that theater, but which is now just strictly dance competitions. The
Wow,
two
no,
dolphins were Nemo and Neptune.
Okay. All right. That's cool. No, I never knew that. I never knew that they had a dolphin show. Guys, comment down below. And how many seasons did it run? Did it run for just one season, or was it 2 or 3? Or has anybody else seen it? If you've seen it, comment down below, kind of what your experience was with that. Okay, guys. So we're gonna move on to the next question. And the next question, I really like this question. It's, what's the next ride to get taken out? Bob, what do you think?
All right. I've got an answer, but I am going to apologize to the Junkies community in advance because I know I'm going to upset somebody. Okay, we have such every single coaster in that park that if a coaster was removed, it is going to upset somebody. So again, this is just my opinion, factual, saying that the park is going to remove this. But what I see going next is V2. V2 is what I'm thinking is going to be the next ride. And what I think would possibly go in its place. Now, I'm not here. I'm just kind of thinking the footprint that V2 is kind of sitting in. I'm thinking like a pendulum ride. Something like one lasso of truth. Just because it's about the way I've seen those things swing in the size of those rides, it would, I think, perfectly in that spot.
Yeah, I agree with you.
What about you? What do you think would be the next ride taken out?
So I'm gonna go along the same route, and I'll expand on this later. I think if it were me, I would remove Yankee Clipper. Now, the caveat is nothing would go in its place right away. But I think that you have to start opening up plots of land in the park. And I think that having 2 water rides intertwined like that is redundant. So I think Yankee Clipper would be the next thing that goes. And like I said, there's another question later on you guys will see, and I'll expand on that a little bit later.
And the one thing I do want to throw in.
Go ahead.
One thing I do want to throw in here for those of you who might not have ever been out to Six Flags Great America, the park is pretty much landlocked. Okay, so there's space to expand the park in any way, shape, or form. So unfortunately, to bring in new coasters, something always has to go. You've got, with Six Flags, one side of it is a highway. There's absolutely nothing you can do with that. You've got residential on the other side. You've got on the backside with businesses across from that. So I really don't, see them being able to expand land. So fortunately, we got to cannibalize the existing, bring you new rides.
Yeah, and that also explains why a lot of our coasters are short. A lot of our coasters are 3,000 feet or less, I mean, that's an average size, but when you're looking at an RMC that has a 180-foot first drop, and you're packing in 3,000 feet ish or less of track, um, you realize that it's not a very long experience. And there's a lot of them like that. Max Force, V2, you have X Flight is even a smaller, more compact version. Batman, a lot of the rides there are just very compact and very short. And that's why, is because they don't have the land. They don't have, they're kind of, they don't have the luxury that like a Worlds of Fun would have, that has a ton of land. They're kind of like Cedar Point in that fashion. That's definitely going to play into some of the other questions that we have, because especially when we get to some of the ones from Max, there's one in particular that's going to come into play. But for now, we're going to move on, and this is one of my favorite questions, because I didn't think it was going to get asked. So I love this next question. And this next question is, what are some insider tips and tricks for getting the most out of your membership? And Bob, I mean, you like live at the park. So how do you use your membership? First of all, what membership do you have, and how do you use it?
Diamond Elite. I'm going on season 2 of being Diamond Elite. Prior to that, I was Platinum. Was that very first membership they offered, which was like, gold or whatever it was, before they kind of launched all the various. The number one thing on, how do you get the most you remember? Use it. Go to the park. The great thing with membership is at any of the parks. So even if Six Flags Great America is not your home park and you want to come up from St. Louis, you got a membership, you can come to our park. You go down to Texas, the park's down there. Your membership definitely works. You always get with Diamond Elite. I mean, obviously the different tiers of the memberships, there are different perks associated with those. And somebody may not necessarily go with Diamond Elite because some of the benefits might not be of value to them. I mean, one of the things that Diamond Elite, you get the preferred parking. You're at the park all day. Last thing you want to do is walk all the way to the back of that parking lot to find your car.
Yep.
Double, triple points day, and you can use points for quite a few things. You can use points to buy from a soda to an admission, all the way to a cabana at Hurricane Harbor. So
which
if you can go,
which I did, and yes, you can do it, and yes, it's really fun. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So if you are there on a double, triple points day, check into the rides. I mean, if it's just regular points, yeah, you're getting maybe 3 points for checking into a ride, but all of a sudden you're getting triple points on that. Check in. I mean, they're easier to check in than others. I don't think I've ever actually been able to check into Goliath. It almost appears that you ride in the middle of the grass in area that you shouldn't be in to get checked in. I mean, in the comments below, if you know the sweet spot where you need to ride, please let me know. And I know a lot of people would benefit from that. Another benefit is you get some shows like Love at First Fright, Ringmasters during Fright Fest. Those things fill up to capacity every show. So it is nice.
Yep.
Your favorite seat, before the masses of other, season pass holders or just, single day guests driving into that theater. One of the other things that you can do, and this isn't really membership wise, this is more, and it's something unique to Six Flags, is if you don't use all your meals or your snacks, you can actually voucher those out. So what I
Yeah.
mean by that, you can take, if you know you're stuffed because you had lunch and you had a snack, and you're like, I'm not going to eat dinner. Change that voucher for either a ride on Daredevil Dive, go karts, some of the other games. So you do have that ability to sort of voucher out any unused meals or snacks. I know, Stephen, you're Diamond Elite. Any other kind of perks that you use, or
Well, I use my membership maybe different than some people in some ways, but generally speaking, you hit a lot of the major points. Um, Getting that for me, with doing all the things for Maxx and taking pictures and recording and just all the different things that I do, um, little things come in handy, like getting into a show early to get a little bit better seating, so that I can get the better angle, or get kind of the in the general vicinity of the place I want to be filming in, and I really like that. One of the cool things is a lot of parks do special events for the Diamond and Diamond Elite. And not just that, but they even have like just member days period where any level can come in. And I love doing those little events. Like this year we got to sign Max Force Track, and I got, I got to put my name, and sign my name to a roller coaster, which was really cool and something I couldn't have done if I wasn't a member. And so I really appreciate that. The other thing is merchandise. I will be the first to admit that I will shop till I drop. I probably spend in the course of a year as much time shopping in Six Flags as I do riding coasters, and especially all the different. Like this year when Max Force came out, buying up Max Force shirts and stuff like that because it's the first year it came out, but getting that 50% off is awesome. And the last way that I use my membership a lot is just traveling, like you said. This past season, 2019, I was able to get to obviously Six Flags Great America, but Six Flags St. Louis. We went to Frontier City. We went to Six Flags Over Texas. We went to Six Flags Fiesta Texas. We went to both water parks. I was able to rent a cabana at Six Flags Fiesta Texas with my member points. And so, and that was for the whole family, and that was really, really cool to be able to do for my family. And so, personally, I think this ties in, something me and you both have mentioned, how we use our memberships and stuff. But I think that right now, given everything going on, a lot of people are talking about memberships and what should they do? Should they pause it? Should they continue to pay for their memberships? I, I don't know about you, but I've personally used my membership so much last year between the discounts and traveling the different parks and the free parking and going almost every weekend to a Six Flags park. Um, I have gotten so much value out of it last year that personally going to continue to pay for it, because when it starts back up, I mentioned that I use a lot for merchandise. They're going to offer triple points with my tier. And so it's a really great way. Like, don't give me the opportunity to earn triple points when you open, because I'm going to take advantage of that.
oh yeah,
I'm going to get a couple more cabanas. And so, but what are your thoughts on that? What are you going to do? Are you going to keep it,
I'm
or
gonna
are
keep.
you going to?
I'm keeping it. Don't already budget for paying for it anyway. So
Mhm.
I'm just going to keep rolling with it. I mean, in all actuality, the park, the end of April, right now they're kind of saying tentatively um, around May 19th. Now, if that happens or not, that's a complete discussion. But I mean, you're only really missing out on, about a month. I've budgeted for it, so I'm just going to keep it. I do understand, pausing it is the better, obviously the better option for them, depending on their kind of their financial situation. But I personally, I'm going to keep mine going.
Yeah, and I agree. You know, it's a totally different conversation if the whole health situation has affected your income. Totally understand. You know, pause, and I don't look down on anyone that has to pause their membership at all. However, if you have the opportunity, excuse me, if you have the opportunity to um, continue to pay for it, um, I would look at the value that you get out of it, and does it make sense for you to continue that? And you know, if you really look at it, because they're not open every day, they're only open on the weekends. So if you look at how many days you're actually missing, if they do open mid-May, it's only it's a handful of days so far that we're missing, and they're going to make that up by putting on free days at the end of the membership. So if you can tough out those couple of days you're going to miss, then you know, I say keep it going, because Six Flags is definitely going to need the income. So we'll move on though. This is I think it's going to be a pretty fast, no pun intended, question for us to answer. And that is, what is the fastest coaster in the park? Bob, what's the fastest coaster we got?
Well, in terms of pure launch speed, we're looking at Max Force, and that thing's launching out at 78 miles per hour. Now, if you want to talk from free fall, you're looking at Raging Bull that comes in at 73 miles an hour, with Goliath right behind it at 72 miles per hour. So
you built a coaster, okay, like, you know, several whatever decades later from Raging Bull, and you have the opportunity at that point to just add a couple more feet at that point, just to get it to 74, you know. But no, the 1999 B&M Hypercoaster retained it with an RMC coaster of, you know, similar height. It's kind of funny to me.
well, I think they did. Goliath did take it for the fastest wooden at the time, you know, hybrid.
It did.
Whereas,
Mm-hmm.
you know, Bull, so it did hold on for a brief time, and then, you know, all of a sudden you get things like Steel Vengeance that pop up, and goodbye record.
And everybody loses their mind, Bob. Steel Vengeance popped up, and everybody just before that, coasters like Goliath were like, that's a solid wood coaster, you know, or a solid coaster, period. And then we have Steel Vengeance come up, and they're like, that's a kiddie coaster now. So yeah, so obviously, Maxx Force, if you're just looking for the launch, if you're looking for the traditional chain lift coaster, Raging Bull. Okay, so the next question, the final question that the junkie group asked. Oh, this is awesome. This is so cool. But this requires some explanation. So I'm going to put the question up. I'm going to read the question, but Bob has to explain the story, because this is so specific to Great America. It's awesome. Okay, and that is, where in the heck did the Dippin' Dots guy go? All right, Bob, tell everyone, what is the connection between this question and our park?
There was another group out there claiming that they were getting some insider information from someone at the park. They're like, you know what? We need to turn to somebody in the park and see what kind of info they have. And lo and behold, we had found the Dippin' Dots, most resourceful guy in the park. I mean, Steven even got a picture with the Dippin' Dots guy this past season.
I did.
But he's full of knowledge. He knows a lot about what the inside working of the park. We always, when we're looking for advice on things, or, you know, kind of the rumor mill, he always kind of comes through for us. And I can assure you right now, the Dippin' Dot quarantine, like we all are, doing well. Yeah. And I'm sure he'll be, you know, coming back into play once the park gets open around July time, when rumors start flying on what's going to be new for 2021.
Yeah, I will say this. When I took my picture with the Dippin' Dots guy, when I saw him, okay, and it was only one time that I visited the magical cart of the Dippin' Dots man. He's kind of like the Wizard of Oz, man. He's kind of cool. But I saw him one time, and he only said two words, ladies and gentlemen, and that was Giga confirmed. I'll leave it there. Giga
There we
confirmed. I'm
go.
just saying, okay? Okay, guys, so that's going to wrap up the 5 questions that Bob's group, the Six Flags Great America Junkies, asked. And now we're going to move on to the 5 questions that my group, Maxx, asked. And the first question I absolutely love. And that is, what section of the park is most true to its original history? And I really had to think about this because there's 2 sections that came to mind. But at the end of the day, I'm going to say Carousel Plaza, the entry to our park. When you first come in, you see that reflection pond that's right there. And then you see that iconic double-decker carousel. The music is playing from the carousel. People are lining up in front of that water to take pictures with that carousel in the background. The characters are out right there at the front of the park. The buildings, everything just looks authentic. So that is going to be my pick for the section of the park that stays most true to its history. What do you think, Bob?
I would agree. Plaza. If I were to give another answer, which I will, since I don't want to, piggyback off. You nailed everything with Carousel Plaza. Town Square. Hometown Square is probably the only other area of the park that pretty much stands true to its original design. Whereas, you get areas like Orleans, Mardi Gras, the whole Mardi Gras section, that used to be that
Mardi
County
Gras
Fair.
section.
Yeah. Yeah. So I would have to say, Hometown Square, Carousel Plaza to the original. My big thing is I just want to bring back the original music. Each section of
Okay.
that
What do
park
you mean by that?
had music. It was instrumental, kind of specific to where you were in the park. Kind of think if you were walking through territory where Loggers Run is, you'd kind of hear, kind of the banjo music type playing.
Oh, wow.
County Fair, their own soundtrack. Each area had its own sort of soundtrack. Now all you're listening to is the same 20 songs repeated again on the park system.
For years and years and years, it has been the same soundtrack. If you're listening, Six Flags, please change your soundtrack. That sounds really cool, though. I would much prefer some original music to distinguish the different sections. Actually, it's interesting you said Hometown Square because I didn't think that. I thought County Fair. I thought County Fair because of Demon and because of the food court that's right there, and I thought County Fair. But
Well, see, my take on County Fair was you used to have that triple arm Ferris wheel in there. You
oh, that's
just have
right.
the green type awning that you were able to walk under and have shade, and they're lined with benches in there. So it kind
And
of,
Deja Vu.
if it worked, if it was running.
Yeah, yeah.
I will say, Deja Vu is the one and only coaster in the park I never rode. Every single time I was at the park,
Me
Deja
either.
Vu was
Before
closed.
my time. Yeah, before I moved up here. So before it was my home park. So I've never rode a Vekoma giant inverted boomerang. I really want to do that. I've heard that people that rode it to this day, I keep hearing that they'd love to have that back, especially with what they replaced it with. So we're gonna move on to our yeah. We're gonna move on to the next question from the Maxx group, and this is, why would someone make a trip out to Six Flags Great America? And for me, it's different for everyone. And the good thing is that our park tailors to so many different groups that can come there. So why would someone come out there? Well, if you're a parent and you have some kids, we have 2 kiddie sections. It's a great way to come out, take them into the water park, take them to a couple of shows, let them meet the characters. It's a great way to entertain the little ones, give them something different to do. If you are a little bit older, let's say that you're preteens, 11, 12. We've got some great intermediate coasters. You're going to ride things like Whizzer, you're going to ride things like Viper, you're going to have a great time. If you're a teenager and you're going to high school, maybe you get a little more challenging. You get on stuff like Goliath, and there's just so much why you would come out there. If you're into thrill rides, we've got a great selection of coasters. We also have a lot of flat rides. If coasters aren't your thing. If you're into shows, if you just like theater, we have awesome. I guess to sum this up, we are a tier 1 park. That is why you make the trip out to Six Flags Great America, because just because of we're blessed with Chicago and Milwaukee, we have the attendance and the revenue at our park to put in, close to 24 coasters, or close to 20 coasters. I think we're at like what, 18, 17, something like that. Don't hate me in the comments for not knowing the exact amount of coasters. It depends on if you count
15 to save
American Eagle is 2, and there's all kind of math that's involved with this. But if you just want to, if you're old, I see a lot of people that don't ride rides, that don't do that love to go and just watch the shows, sit down on benches. I've seen people during Fright Fest with books on benches, reading books during the day, and then at night just watching the scare actor scare people. So you make the trip out because no matter what you're into, whether you want a calm, relaxed day, whether you want a high impact thrills day, whether you just want to conquer your fears, because you're a kid, that's why you make the trip to Six Flags Great America. That's why you do it. So what do you think about this question, Bob?
Well, yeah, like you said, there is something to do for every single person. From the I'm not going to ride any rides, put me on your tallest, fastest coaster with my hair on fire. There is something for everybody to do. Hopefully, at some point, train back up and running. I know a lot of people, big fans, have taken that ride around the park on the train multiple times while they're a coaster, or little kids trying to take a nap, whatnot. But definitely, there is something for everybody. Kids ride, multiple flume rides.
Yeah.
So there is definitely stuff to do all day. Plus, if you're all about the water park in the summer months, you've got that as well. So you can go hang out in the lazy river, the wave, take on some of those water slides that we have.
Yeah, and speaking of that, they're even adding to that, right? Because our park is getting a new water coaster, which is awesome. So if you like those kind of things, we're going to have one for you. So yeah, that's why you come to Six Flags Great America, in my opinion. You come here because you're going to have a great day no matter what. I will say this: plan your day in advance. Especially if you only have one day, it could be really hard to get through everything. Me and Bob have the pleasure of going, 20, 30, 40 times in a season. And so we don't have to do everything in one day. Some days we'll just walk around the park, ride 2 or 3 rides, watch some shows, whatever. But if you're only got one day or you only got 2 days, really plan what you want to do to make the most of that trip. And with that said, we'll move on to the next question, which it's similar to a question that they asked you, but it's different enough.
Yes.
And this question is, what goes next to make room for a new coaster? And the reason this is different is because they only give 3 options: Whizzer, Demon, Dual Flumes. And I'll kick this off with, it goes back to what I was saying. with one of the earlier questions about removing the flumes. I think both flumes are doomed because in my evidence is look at all the different log flumes, first of all, that are leaving all these other parks. Kennywood removed their log flume to make room for a 9 inversion steel coaster over 200 feet. Not saying we would get that, but I think that there's an argument to be made that if you were to take out both flumes, and if we couple this with your answer to the previous question about V2, all of a sudden we have a huge plot of land inside of a landlocked park. And personally, I'm gonna add on to this because this is my prediction. I think 1 year you remove one flume, then you do a bobsled in the same year. You also remove V2. I say in V2's plot of land, you put a Mack Power Splash because now you just have your water ride back and you have a launch coaster that goes forward and backwards and it fits in that plot of land. And lastly, in the flume section, I think you put an RMC Raptor track. That's what I say. I say if you do it, you're going to go big. You've got your throw coaster and people go wild. But what do you think out of these three? What do you think is going to go, and what do you think possibly could replace it?
I'm going with Demon here. I think the Demon is taking its course. You ask anybody who comes off of Demon, got a headache. On the Junkies Facebook group, a few days back, I posted an on-ride POV from POV. Put that on there, and people in the comments were just saying they were getting a headache just watching the video. So,
which I don't get. I don't get that because I've been on a lot of aero coasters. I've ridden some really bad aero coasters, and I can tell you now that the first drop is smooth. The vertical loops are smooth. Going up into the mid course is smooth. Coming off of the mid course is smooth until you hit the bottom of the drop off the mid course where it transitions into the corkscrews. That's where you get the head jerking. Well, guess what? You get it on every aero coaster, but on other aero coasters you get even more. So stop complaining, people. Demon is not as rough. If you think that's rough, go ride Ninja at Six Flags St. Louis. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's it has some effects that are no longer there. The waterfall effect, right when you came out of that mid break into right before those corkscrews fall. During Fright Fest, they would turn that thing red, so it'd be a blood red waterfall.
Oh, cool. I didn't know that either. That's really cool.
Yeah, it just seems that our park, anything that has any kind of water effect is kind of doomed to not work. I mean, look, X Flight had some effects.
Yeah.
First season it was going, and then after that, no more water effects on that ride.
R.I.P.
Okay. In terms of what
would you put in it? What would you put in that place?
I'm not sure exact type of coaster, about manufacturer and whatnot, but I would think something that the shorter crowd, like the 36-inch and above crowd on. Because Demon is kind of a family per se, just because it's 36 inches or taller. As long as you can put something in that footprint that the smaller kids can get on, people would be happy. But what type of coaster, that I'm not sure.
Well, I like the way you're thinking with that because they do need a more intermediate coaster. Comment down below, guys. What do you think? If they took out Demon, what would you guys like to see put in that spot? And that's going to lead us to our next question, which ties perfectly into what we were just talking about. And that is, what is the best roller coaster in the park? I'm going to answer this two-part because I think there's a difference for me between what I think the best coaster is and what my favorite coaster is. There's a difference there. Best coaster, if you're talking about it from the enthusiast point of view, I would say people are going to say Goliath is the best coaster in the park. However, my favorite ride in the park is Raging Bull. And I know, oh my gosh, I'm gonna get in the comments. People are gonna like enthusiasts are gonna like they're gonna start throwing their drinks at their computer screens right now, or whatever they're watching this on, because they're gonna say, it's the worst B&M hyper ever, and I disagree, but that's a discussion for another time. So best coaster, I think Goliath. Favorite coaster, Raging Bull. What do you think?
I'm same answer. Raging Bull's the favorite. I mean, one of the main reasons Raging Bull, being the hyper, you're if you're waiting in line for a while, that you actually got your ride's worth. Whereas you go on
Yeah.
Goliath, that thing's over in like it's like, okay, that was great, it was fun. Don't get me wrong, it's an awesome coaster, but it's over way too quick. I mean,
Yeah.
for who
Yep.
don't have a perspective, who've never rode Goliath, imagine riding for the amount of time like on Steel Vengeance. Like if you went on Steel, you probably could have went through probably about 4 cycles of being on Goliath in the time that you'd go through one complete of Steel Vengeance. It's over just as quick as it starts. But yes, my favorite, Raging Bull hands down.
Yeah, and for me, it's not just that B&M is my favorite manufacturer, but with all these short rides and short coasters, and it's nice to get on something that's a mile long. It's nice to get on something that's 2.5, 3 minutes long and just enjoy. It doesn't have the extreme airtime that Goliath has on that one hill. I mean, that's the most extreme airtime in the park, but to just float and glide through the layout and just, like I said, just have the height and the speed, and to me, it's awesome. It's a treat in our park. So that's going to lead us to the last question of our show tonight. And I like this question too. And that is, what type of rides does the park need most? And for me, I'm going to say flat rides, but the caveat to this, we have a lot of flat rides. Because when I thought about this, I immediately thought of what all the other parks have and what we don't have. And I thought, well, flat rides. And then I thought, no, we have a lot of flat rides, because we do. But we don't have a lot of modern flat rides. Our flat ride package is great for nostalgic reasons. I mean, you have Condor over there, which is great. You've got Ricochet, one of my favorites. I love Ricochet. You've got the Lobster. Even the Drop Tower is still a second gen Intamin Drop Tower. So it's old. By the way, it has the highest drop in the entire park. If anybody out there didn't know that, the highest drop in the entire park is from Giant Drop. But the park is lacking things like that Harley Quinn ride, that's down in Texas that I went on, or having something like the the Giant Discoveries, and things like that, or Zamperla Giant Discovery. You just don't have those kind of rides, and so I think that's what the park really needs. Everybody knows we don't need any more coasters. Stop. I love it because I'm an enthusiast, but stop. The 6 St. Louis needs one. Like St. Louis could have used Maxx Force more than us. But with that said, more flat rides. I don't think water rides make sense. We have a big water park. So flat rides is what I'm going to say we need. Modern flat rides. What do you think?
I'd say the other answer would been updates to the kids sections. Yes, there are 2 kids sections, but they are very run down. I don't have a child that is kids rise age. My daughter, she's all about the coasters, but just walking through those areas, it's I think they can do so much more, and maybe take one of them and do a Looney Tunes in there.
Oh yeah.
I
Like
think
they some parks have that Bugs Bunny Boomtown, which is really cool. Because you're right, Six Flags Great America. It's weird because there's two different kiddie sections, and they're not far apart from each other. And one of them, I would say, is geared more for like little kids. And then one section's kind of geared for, they have the Kidsopolis, I think, is geared for, I would say a little bit older. The other one just seems like it's got a lot of, like with the Yahoo River, and it just seems like it's for little itty bitty kids, other than the coaster that's in there. But then they have we've got Little Dipper, which is a kiddie coaster that's seriously love that Great America saved it, but when you put it in your park, you put it in a totally obscure random section of your park with no other kids rides around. It's like you got Batman right there in the background, and it's like, thank you for saving it, but oh my gosh, park planning maybe, but yeah, that's I really like that answer.
I'm just saying,
So
you take those go-karts out, you've got a nice section or some kiddie rides
right there by the Little Dipper.
right by Little Dipper.
You could pull a Six Flags St. Louis and just put a kids section just right there. I mean, they St. Louis probably has the worst kids section because there is no kid. It's like you're just walking through the park and randomly all of a sudden you're in the kids section. You're like, whoa, wait a minute, where'd this come from? Where is this? And then you're out of it again. You're like, whoa, what just happened? So yeah, I really like that answer. So we're all out of questions, sadly. However, I really liked learning about the show or learning about the park and doing these kind of series. Guys, if you like these kind of series, make sure to comment down below so we can keep these going. And who knows, we might even do a part 2 to Great America because there's so much to cover, and maybe this will spark new ideas and stuff. If you want to know more about the park and you want to know more about the park from local experts, make sure to look up Bob's Facebook group, and I'll put that up there now. That's Six Flags Great America Junkies, and it's just an awesome group, guys. So if you guys want to know more about that, make sure to do that.
Yeah, and also let me just jump in here right on top of you. For any of my junkies watching this, if you're not part of, definitely go check out their Facebook page. Follow them here on YouTube. Definitely subscribe, and most importantly, hit the like, smash that like button.
Appreciate that. And that's a great sign off. So we're going to thank Bob for being here and sharing some of those stories and some of that insider knowledge. It was awesome. And remember, guys, always take your thrills to the max. This was Talk Around the Park.